Om Amriteshwari Nama. We'll begin with the meditation. We'll start with meditation. Kindly sit straight and please close your eyes. Now focus on your breathing and breathing normally with full awareness of each and every inhalation and exhalation that occurs through your body. And now we'll chant Om 3 times. And as we chant Om, kindly imagine the sound of Om coming from the navel area and visualize the sounds traveling upwards along your spine. Now kindly take a deep breath. Now slowly become aware of your breathing. Once again, breathing normally. Now as you breathe in, chant the syllable Ma silently along with your in-breath. And Om when you breathe out. After chanting Ma, after breathing in, just hold your breath for a few seconds and then release it and breathe out while chanting Om. So Ma, breathe in, and Om, breathe out. Ma and Om are the representations of divine love and divine light. And even though you don't have to visualize love and light, you can just feel the vibrations of love when you chant Ma. And when you chant Om, just feel the reverberations of the light. And feel your heart being filled with love when you chant Ma. And when you chant Om, feel your heart filled with light. And continue like this for some time. Slowly and slowly the reverberations of Ma and Om become more and more subtle. You can just feel the vibrations of Ma and Om. Now, let's pray for the welfare of the whole world. Let's chant Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu 9 times. And while chanting, imagine peace, light, and love going out of your heart to all the beings in this world, and visualize them becoming more loving, more ray of light going out from your heart to all the beings. Om Lokaha Samastaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Lokaha Samastaha Bhavantu. Lokaha Samastaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Lokaha Samastaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Lokaha Samastaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Lokaha Samastaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Dhyayamo Dhavlavagundhanavatim Tejomayim Naishtikihim Snigdha Pangavilokinim Bhagavatim Mandasmidashri Mukhim Valsalyamritavarshinim Sumadhuram Sankirtanalapinim Shamangim Madhusikta Suktim. Om Amriteshwaryaye Namaha. Om Amriteshwaryaye Namaha. Om Amriteshwaryaye Namaha. Om Narayanam Patmabhuvam Vasishtim Shaktim cha Tatputram Parasharam cha Vyasam Shugam Gaudapadam Mahandam Govinda Yogendram Adhasya Shishyam Sri Shankaracharyam Adhasya Padmapadam Cha Hastamalakam Cha Shishyam Tam Todakam Vartika Karyamanyan Asmad Gurum Sandadam Anadosmi. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Amriteshwariyai Namaha. Om Amriteshwariyai Namaha. Om Amriteshwariyai Namaha. Let me apologize for all the technical problems and difficulties which is happening from here, and especially all the sounds that's coming from the atmosphere as I'm sitting here in Amrita Puri. It's nice to listen to them also. So thank you so much for your patience and forbearance. So, in the last session, Kurunanda, is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay. It's because it's showing the stream health is.
You can drop it a bit more if you want.
No, I can't drop it.
But she's saying it's no problem there.
It's not a problem there. Okay, that's okay. So as long as it's not a problem for you all, and it's coming out, I'm hopefully let's continue like this. So we were looking at the lineage of Swayambhu Manu, and we had the Swayambhu Manu's two children, two sons, Priyavrata and Uttanapada, and we were looking at the lineage of Priyavrata now, and we were discussing about Priyavrata's children and how he became the king. Though he was realized, Brahma had come, and along with Narada, his guru, his Priyavrata was advised to, though he was realized and he did not want to take up the rulership of the world, he was asked by Brahma to become the king, and he accepted the mission which was given to him by Brahma, and also he got the permission free from all desires and impurities of the mind, and then he married Barhishar Agnidhra Idma Jihwa Yatnyabahu Mahavira Hiranya Retas Gridha Pradishta Savana Medha Didhi Biti, and out of this the three, that is Kavi, Mahavira and Savana, were already realized when they were born, so they did not want to do anything with this world, so they just said goodbye and then they went away. And he ruled the earth. He said by another wife he had three sons named Uttama, Tamasa and Raivata, who became the third, fourth and fifth Manus respectively. And while some of his sons took to exhaustive spiritual pursuits, he ruled over the earth for 11 crores of years. one crore is 10 million. So 11 is there's 100. And during that period, he put down all forces of adharma of his bow, string drawn by his long arms, whose power there was none anywhere to withstand or oppose, and simultaneously putting on the appearance of an ordinary worldly man without any knowledge of the self, he also enjoyed the delights of the company of his wife, Barhishmati, who evinced increasing delight on seeing him, who got up from her seat always to honor him, who exhibited her amorous charms to him, and who displayed her coyness that put a cheek on unrestrained laughter, passionate looks, and words of apparent ridicule as expressions of love. So, even though Priyavrata was realized, he had to put on this personality that he was not realized, and so he, in that sense, he ruled the country, and also he was with his wife Barhishmati, and he was ruling the world for 110 million years. And the power he possessed from the sun who circles the Mount Meru renders one half of the earth bright at a time, while the other half he leaves dark. And now King Priyavrata, in order to overcome this handicap and make even night bright like daytime, got into a chariot as speedy and brilliant as this he could achieve only because of the extraordinary powers he derived from the worship of the Lord. So he sat on his chariot and then followed the sun, so that there would be any day or night differences, and so he was following the sun. And so while following, the seven oceans are but the ruts caused by the wheels of Priyavrata's chariot, and they lie as concentric circles dividing the surface of the earth into seven dvipas, or they are islands or continents. So these islands are so big that they are continents, consisting of the land belts between them. So these islands are Jambudvipa, Plakshadvipa, Salmalidvipa, Kushadvipa, Kraunchadvipa, Shakadvipa, and Pushkaradvipa. So in size, each outer one is double the size of the one inner to it, and they encircle the oceans that divide them in the order mentioned below. And around the islands, the dvipas, functioning as moats to them, are the seven oceans of salt water, sugar cane juice, liquor, ghee, milk, yogurt, and pure water. And lying around the dvipas, the islands, each one of these oceans is equal in size to the island itself, which it surrounds. And in each of these seven islands, Priyavrata installed a son of his. So he created these seven continents surrounded by the seven oceans, and then he installed each of his sons as kings in each of these islands. And he gave, so you have to remember that he had 10 sons and one daughter. So he gave his daughter. So the Maharshi Shukracharya is the guru of the demons, so the Rakshasas. So he gave his daughter Urjaswati as a wife to Maharshi Shukracharya. And out of their marriage was born the famous daughter Devayani, which we will see later. You know, Devayani was very famous, and then she later on she married, and so we can see that those stories much later. And all this power and capacity are no matter for wonder in the case of such a great devotee of the Lord as he who has conquered all the senses by worshipping him. For the Lord's unique power is such that even a man of low birth, without any special qualifications, overcomes the bondage of samsara if he but once utters his name with deep faith. So, as we can see that he's saying that after the marriage of Devayani, she got married to King Yayati, and she's saying that it is no wonder. So when you look at the great devotee Priyavrata, who was conquered all the senses and worshipping him, and he obtained all the power because not because of any special qualifications, but his deep faith and bhakti for the Lord. And now, as we see over and over and over again, we'll see that now Priyavrata, the king, with limitless strength and courage, once felt that he had been deprived of the bliss of the communion with the Atman by the intervention of these kingly duties while he was undergoing spiritual disciplines under the great divine sage Narada. So when the king Priyavrata was undergoing spiritual disciplines with his guru Narada, he had the communion with the Atman, that is, he became one with the Atman, and as a result of which he had obtained so much of bliss. And now he felt that he's not getting that much bliss. So he was thinking to himself, alas, I've committed a blunder. I've allowed myself to be pushed by the senses into the abandoned well of worldly life with its attachments and darkness of ignorance. So enough of these sensuous enjoyments. Fie upon me, who have degraded myself into a play animal of women. Thus did he criticize himself. By the grace of the Supreme Lord, discriminative power dawned on him. Urged by the powerful spirit of renunciation, he gave away the kingdom to his children and abandoned the immense power and wealth of royalty, as also his wife, who had provided him with enjoyment in life, as if all these were but rotting carcasses. Endowed with the unique potency derived from constant remembrance of Sri Hari's glory, he once again resorted to Sri Narada's advice to adopt the life of renunciation. So, what happened was, as you can see, as I was saying earlier, you will see that again and again, after some time, even though they were enjoying immense power and all the things that one can imagine, that one can obtain from the sense objects, they come to a realization that this is so limited and it is not worth anything. So here he is saying, like, rotting dead bodies. And so he was just came to the realization that this is all, that's all. And the power and wealth of royalty is nothing when compared to the immense bliss that one derives from the Supreme Being and the union with that and all the spiritual practices. So he just throws them away, all the worldly pleasures, all the worldly wealth that he has achieved, and then he renounces this, and he goes to Vanaprastha, that is, he moves to the next step in his life, which is from going into Vanaprastha, and so which is the renunciation from the world. So then there are the following verses in praise of him. except the Supreme Lord who can do these wonderful deeds which Priyavrata performed. He dispelled the darkness of night and made the 7 oceans with the rims of the wheel of his chariot. Priyavrata made separate regions for habitation in the world by dividing it into continents or islands, with each continent having rivers, mountains, forests, etc. for their prosperity. Dear as he was to all devotees, he finally attained to the acme of renunciation, which made him realize every form of worldly felicity, whether it be human or divine, to be no better than the life of hell. So, after doing all these things, after achieving so much, he's saying, due to the blessings that he had received, and also, how can he get this, the life of a renunciation, and how can he get such vairagya in his life? So it's only through the blessings of the Supreme that he just renounced everything, and he went back and continued with his spiritual practices. So this is the life of Priyavrata. And now we are going to the story of Agnidhra, one of Priyavrata's son. So after Sri Shuka said, after Priyavrata's final attainment, his son Agnidhra, following the traditions of his father, ruled over the inhabitants of Jambudvipa in accordance with the rules of Dharma, as a father looks after his own children. So now Agnidhra, who was appointed as the king of Jambudvipa, the Jambudvipa is the world that we are present now, and it is known as Jambudvipa in the scriptures. The earth, Mother Earth, is known as Jambudvipa. And so Priyavrata became the ruler, and he ruled according to dharma, the righteousness, and he was a very righteous king. And once desiring offspring, he performed austerities in the valleys of Mandara mountain, where celestial damsels generally went for recreation. And collecting all ingredients of worship, he worshipped Brahma there with great devotion and concentration. Knowing this, Brahma sent to the place where the king was staying a songstress of his court, an Apsara woman named Purvachiti. She went to Priyavrata's ashrama and wandered about in its precincts. There, on the golden creepers, closely embraced by the branches and the foliage of the dense growth of trees, were perched kokila pairs. There are 2 birds whose wobblings in the early mornings awakened water birds like kukutas, karandakas, and hamsas. This was kukutas is the quail, and hamsas, the birds of the king, made him open a little his lotus bud like eyes that had till then remained closed in the practice of samadhi. So what happened was King Agnidhra was sitting in samadhi. Then as the Apsara so Purvachiti, her name is Purvachiti, went to the ashram, and as she was walking around, the sound of her anklets fell on the ears of King Agnidhra. And before him, he saw the attractive form of the Apsara woman. Like the bees hovering about, she was moving from flower to flower, enjoying their smell. Her gait, her playful attitudes, her look, mingled with shyness and modesty. Her sweet voice, her physical features all seemed to be capable of making a big opening on the heart walls of humanity for a cupid to gain entrance. So I'm not going into the all the details which goes on. They marry, and they live together because King Agnidra falls in love with him, with her, and these things and passing. So the Apsara woman too, being strongly fascinated by the king's intelligence, manners, form, youth, splendor, generosity, and other virtues, got engrossed in him and spent many divine years with him, the ruler of Jambudvipa, in enjoyments which, though earthly, were equal to that of heaven itself. So Purvachiti did not go back to the heaven, which is Brahma's world, and she lived with Agnidra for thousands of years. And King Agnidra begot her 9 sons, Nabhi, Kimpurusha, Harivarsha, with the king at the palace, went away to rejoin the court of Brahma. And all the sons of Agnidra inherited from their mother healthy bodies and great abilities, and were appointed by their father to rule over the 9 regions of Jambudvipa that came to be known after their respective names. So these 9 children that King Agnidra got from Purvachiti were appointed as the rulers of 9 regions of Jambudvipa. King Agnidra was not, however, satisfied with the enjoyments he had with the Apsara woman, that is Purvachiti. So, constantly thinking of her and performing Vedic rituals for fulfillment of desires, he in the end attained to the world of Apsaras and joined her. In that realm, the Pitris lived joyfully. And after the death of the king, so what happened was King Agnidra died, and because he was constantly thinking of Purvachiti, he joined her in that realm of Apsaras. So after the death of the king, the 9 sons married the 9 daughters of Meru, and their names being Meru Devi, Pratirupa, Ugra Damshri, Lata, Ramya, Shama, Nari, Bhadra, and Devaviti. And so now what we see is the story of King Nabhi. So Sri Shuka said, Nabhi, the eldest son of Agnidra, desirous of a son, worshipped Sri Hari, the Lord of Yajnas, with great concentration of purity. And though the Lord is unattainable by any of the elaborate requisites of the yajna, like ingredients, proper time and place, mantras, sacrificial priests, sacrificial gifts, correct procedures of rituals, etc., he nonetheless revealed himself out of his parental love for devotees, while the rite called Pravargya was being performed. He revealed himself with his shining form, which no one can experience unless he vouchsafes it, which thrills the senses with its beauty and brings joy and peace to the mind. So he's saying that even though one can perform yajna and one can do elaborate requisites of the yajna, like the ingredients, you can give different types of ingredients and ingredients which are highly tasty and powerful, and then you can do the yajna on proper time and place and chant mantras and sacrificial priests and all these things. But what happens is without the wish of the Lord. And why does the Lord appear? Because of the parental love for devotees. So the devotee, for the love for the devotee is the only reason why the Lord reveals himself. And so he came in his shining form. His divine form was four-armed, luminous, dressed in golden yellow cloth, and adorned with Srivatsa mark, floral wreath, and the gem Kaustubha. He was sporting in his arms insignias and weapons like conch, lotus, discus, mace, etc. And he was wearing various kinds of ornaments and decorations of gold studded with precious stones like diadem, ear ornaments, girdle, pearl necklaces, bracelets, and anklets. So, you must have heard this song, Kasturi Tilagam Lalada Falage. So, this is the explanation of Lord Vishnu's form. And so, he had four arms and wearing yellow cloth, then the Srivatsa Manj, lotus, discus, etc. So, it's describing the form of the beloved Lord. All the people there, the master of the sacrifice, the sacrificial priest, and the assembled devotees stood in adoration with heads bowing down as penniless men would before a treasure trove. So the sacrificial priest said, O worshipful one, though thou art in thyself full and self-satisfied, it behoves thee to accept the devout adoration of thy humble servants. Salutations to thee again and again. To salute thee and adore thee in this way is all that we have been taught by great men. We cannot do more than this, for we are engrossed with worldly objects that are the products of Prakriti, nature, and therefore devoid of the higher powers of the mind to grasp thy unique glory. Placed as we are, how can we praise thy form and attributes that are above Prakriti, with our notions of name, form, and attributes vitiated by the limitations of our worldly bound minds? All that we can do is to make vague references to thy unique and auspicious attributes, which eradicate the sinful tendencies of those who approach thee. So here, the sacrificial priests are praising the Lord, and they are saying, so please accept our offerings, and because we are very humble servants, and so all we have been taught by great men is just to salute thee. All that we can do is this. Why? Because we are engrossed with the worldly objects, which are the products of Prakriti or nature. And so because of these products are of nature, we do not have the higher powers of the mind, because the mind is still reveling in Prakriti, in nature. So, and you and your form, which is beyond Prakriti, which is beyond nature. Now, how can we know that? Because our mind is limited, and it is worldly bound also. So all that we can do is to make references, and that too really vague ones, to that unique and auspicious attributes. So this is all we can do. And they continued, O exalted one, thou art the most high, above the descriptive power of our minds, yet thou art delighted with the prayer of devotees, whose voice become indistinct and tremulous with emotion, and who make offerings of water, leaves, tulasi, tender grass with devotion. So you just think about this. What are we giving to you? We are just giving you some stupid things and something which is very, very, very little, like water, leaves, tulasi, that is basil leaves, tender grass, the kusha grass. So this is all what we are giving to you. And what is how, when you look at it, we are not giving anything, but only what happens is we are giving it with devotion. So if it is without devotion, we know that even a yajna like this with abounding offerings and numerous rites is of no interest to thee. So even if we offer so many things which are actually so plentiful and abounding, then if it's not offered with devotion, we know that it's not of any interest to you. So in truth, to thee who art in thyself the summation of the highest values that the human mind can conceive, of what value these yajnas and their offerings can be, Lord, this is only a way of worship sanctioned to us who are moved by desires and their fulfillment, as we are not capable of higher forms of worship. So they're saying, so this is all we have been taught. And so all we can offer. And so if we do not, in one sense, all these things, offerings are not of any value to you. O Supreme Being, for the sake of ignorant and foolish people like us, who do not know what is ultimately good for us, thou, out of thy boundless grace, and with a resolve to bestow on us liberation, which is thy highest glory and blessing, hast appeared before us like a common person, even without being invoked by us. So, you have come, how? Because of the boundless grace. And why? Because you want to bestow liberation on us. And even though, in one sense, we are not even asking for it, we do not know how to ask for it, and we do not know the right rituals for it, and we do not know the right prayers. So it is just your grace. O worshipful one, this is indeed the greatest blessings we have got, that in this yajna of King Nabhi, thou, the master of all boons, has been pleased to appear before the eyes of men. O Lord, thou art the center of infinite graces and sportive manifestation, which are praised and sung about by sages, whose impurities have been all burnt up by the fire of renunciation, augmented by knowledge, and who, being delighted in the self alone, are the same nature of thyself. So these, we know that we are just singing the praises which has already been sung by the sages. Why? The sages, he's saying, who have been completely pure through the fire of renunciation and also through knowledge, and who are reveling in the self alone, just like yourself. So may thy divine names, descriptive of thy attributes and capable of erasing all sins, engage our speech at all times of difficulty, be it in jury, fall, lassitude, distress, fever, and other ailments, or death itself. Besides, here is this Raja Rishi who looks upon the birth of a son for himself as the supreme end of his life. He is approaching thee for the attainment of this trivial object, for getting a son equal to thee in all respects, even though such a prayer before thee, the Supreme Being, can bestow all worldly good and liberation, is as ridiculous as the prayer of poor man for some chaff before a great king. So they are saying, look, here King Nabhi is asking for what? Just a son, which is equal to thee. But we know that you can actually bestow anything in this world. So it's like, and then when we approach to you asking for such a small thing, it's like they're saying, like it's like a poor man going to a great king and asking for just a few handfuls of grains. So accepting those who have served holy men and gained their grace, who is there that is not overcome by thy invincible Maya? Who is that who is there whose intellect is not clouded by that power of unknown origin? Who is there whose nature is not transformed by poisonous influence of sense objects? So all of us are influenced by Maya. O Lord, thou who art ever engaged in the work of cosmic significance, pardon us for having invoked thee here for such a small fulfillment as progeny. Dull-witted and ignorant as we are, we consider such attainments as the be-all and end-all of existence. It behoves thee, the even-sighted, to pardon us for our failings. So he's saying that we are, we know that what we are asking is such a trivial thing, and it's such a stupid thing to do. So it's such a trivial thing. So please pardon us for asking this, for because Nabhi wants to get a son which is as powerful as the Lord himself. So we will conclude here for today with this session, and unfortunately, as we will not have bhajans today, but we will end with the arati, and I sincerely apologize for any of the technical difficulties that you might have faced today, and in the next session I will try to have bhajans as well as proper or much better technical facilities, and the connection will be definitely much better next time. Thank you so much. Om Amriteshwariye Namah.
Mangalam सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति 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 ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम्
I should mute it. I mean, this only when it's done, right? I mean, end the stream.
Yeah, you have to do that. There's a 30-second delay, right?
Yeah.
You're muted, right?
Yeah.
Should I go pick up the keys on Bhagavatam?
Shall I end it now?
I think so. Is it? Yeah, we can end it here. And